In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to episode 12 of Barely Maintaining. In this week's episode, we got a Rams game to cover. We played the Rams at home. We'll talk about that. We got the Panthers coming up, so we will be discussing that. We'll, of course, touch on Ryan's player stat trivia, name some player unique facts and some trivia about the player, and see if I can guess them. And then we'll pick some games for this upcoming week. See who Ryan actually came out of the gate gunning. Fell down a little bit because this has been such a crazy year. So I feel like the fact that he got all those games right at the beginning means he knows less about football than everyone else. Because he just get lucky. But yeah, and of course there's some news around the league we'll talk about. So let's get into it. What do you got?
All right, so news around the league. We got Devontae Adams requests a trade. This is big news. And it said that there was about 8 teams that are pretty well interested in him. It's the Dolphins to start Tyler Huntley. DeMarcus Lawrence placed on IR. Von Miller suspended 4 games for violating personal conduct policy. And Tyler Batty, I believe is his name. I feel awful about not knowing that. But he's got full movement in his arms and legs after that crazy hit he took to the back. So everything looks pretty good on that front. And then,
That's good news.
Yeah. Other than that, we got the update on the leaders in the NFL. So Bills still lead the AFC East at 3-1. Chiefs still at 4-0. Lead the AFC West. Steelers, AFC North leaders. Texans also at 3-1 are the AFC South leaders. Commanders, Seahawks lead the East and West. Vikings still lead the NFC North, and the Bucks took over the Saints this week at 3-1 for the NFC South.
That's actually going to be oddly a competitive division down there.
Yeah,
they all really are. I mean, I think kind of the NFC North is looking to shake up as one of the better divisions. I feel like, right?
Yeah, because the Vikings got to fall at some point, right?
And everyone's got 2 wins in that division, right?
Yeah.
In our division, I feel like I've been saying it, and it might just be the personal bias, but I feel like there is a cliff coming at some point. There's going to be defensive coordinator. Really, it's been their defense, if you ask me, Brian Flores. But there's going to be an offensive coordinator, or defensive coordinator that slows their game down enough to where they can squeak out a win. I don't know if it's going to be this week's versus the Jets in London, but I will say, you ain't surprising Aaron Rodgers by anything.
No.
Defensive reads and stuff,
No. That defense has been pretty fun to watch, but yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot you can throw at Aaron Rodgers or veterans like that. They've also gotten pretty lucky, too. They played the 49ers, who were decimated. They've played a bunch of these teams that, you kind of got lucky when you played these teams, and then the back half of their schedule is fairly easy for the most part.
Right. And honestly, it's kind of like one of those things. It's like, are the teams that we thought were good really good yet? Do we know? I mean, the 49ers are kind of like piecing it together. Obviously, the Chiefs are leading their, haven't lost, but they also look like they're struggling to get those wins,
Yeah.
Nobody's kind of walking away. The Ravens look like they've won every game, and they haven't won any of them, except for that, that Cowboys game. They look great in every game and still aren't winning. Yeah, so it's very weird. And then, circling back to Batty, I think that is how you pronounce his name. I'm not sure, but like you said, it didn't look like anything too huge detrimental on the field, and then he kind of went to the side, and then,
Yeah.
But I realize it's kind of how you're hit and all the circumstances of it. So
I guess I didn't realize that. I mean, that helmet did go straight to his spine. So.
Did it? But as far as if you just watch it, far as the play goes, it didn't look like it was any different than any other real hit, right? It looks like that stuff happens a lot.
Yeah,
really.
I had to finally see that. One of the views that was super slowed down. I wasn't watching that game, so I didn't see it, but.
Yeah, I didn't watch it in real time either.
So I saw that and I was like, oh, that looks like a normal play. And then I finally saw it slowed down. I was like, oh, it looked like it lined up perfectly with that break in the pads where it must have just caught his spine or something. So.
Right, and honestly, it doesn't take much.
No.
Right, I mean, you have all of those nerves running through a small chamber, and if it gets rattled a little bit, it can. But it's good because swelling and stuff that it didn't cause well, it doesn't seem like uh, long-term problems as
Yeah,
far as his mobility goes currently.
most definitely.
So before we get into the Rams game, I just want to bring up a couple things. There's a really cool segment on ChicagoBears.com. It's called By the Numbers, and it just lists. I don't know if I'll go through all of them because there's a million of them, but it lists some of the cool stuff that happened over the last week and some of the cool numbers. So, 165 is the yards from scrimmage DeAndre Swift had, who led the Bears in both rushing, 93 yards, and 1 touchdown on 16 carries, and receiving with 7 catches for 72 yards. Swift obviously part of the game plan, using him like you've been mentioning more of what he is, a catching running back and kind of running running around the corners, not right up the middle.
Yeah.
Swift became the first Bears player with at least 70 rush yards and receiving yards in the same game since Jeremy Langford in 2015. Remember Langford?
I forgot about him until I saw that stat pop. I was like, oh yeah, I remember him.
Same thing there. I'm like, oh man,
he was
in the past.
He was in that strip of running backs that was like good for the 2 years, and then the Bears would just let him go, and then it was like Jordan Howard, Jeremy Langford, like all, that list of running backs that always seemed to be there for a couple of years and then just were gone.
Yeah, that was definitely until the Matt Fortes or the David Montgomerys we've had for a few years here and there, but that 36 yards covered on Swift's touchdown run, the longest by a Bear since receiver Velus Jones Jr.'s 42-yard TD dash in 2022. That's crazy to me. The 36-yard touchdown runs are the longest play. Since 2022. 55.4 gross average on 5 punts by Torrey Taylor. Also, special teams player of the week. Just mentioning that.
By the way, that was a cool little segment too, where one, we made a hype video for him. The Bears made a hype video for him. And then,
crazy, right?
There was also Torrey Taylor had that 54.5-yard punt. They went 4 and out, and then their punter had a 65-yard punt. It was like, what the heck is going on? Like,
I know, but I also think the wind or whatever, the Chicago, and just the way everything was laid out played into it. But Torrey Taylor, 3 punts inside the 20, forcing the Rams to start their drives at their own 5, 8, and 8. That right there is game changing.
Yeah.
Right. So that's huge. So getting a 80-yard punt don't matter if they're starting at the 30, 40-yard line, right?
Yeah.
Or moving the ball up or get a good big play. So the 3 and out's the big part. I mean, we're pinning him deep, and we're getting him. One quarterback who has been drafted number 1 overall to win their first 2 career home games start as a rookie in the common draft era. Caleb Williams accomplished that feat Sunday. So he's the first quarterback to win 2 home games. 2 Bears players have registered double-digit sacks and at least 1 sack and 1 interception in a game. Jaquan Brisker, who just went nuts. I was at a kid's birthday party on Sunday, kind of watching the game. He had some plays that were happening at the beginning of the game, and I just told everyone, he's going off today. Watch. And he did. He team high 12 tackles, 1 sack, the fourth Rams to settle a field goal, and 1 interception.
He seemed like once he had that, was it an interception that he missed or something? Yeah. That he had a vendetta from there. Like, he was just like, no, I'm taking over this game. Like,
so I just saw him. He posted on Twitter. He did not get NFC Defensive Player of the Week, so he said, thank you. He said thank you. So he's going to be chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And I love that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
Because like a couple days ago, he posted a highlight video of himself and headlined it The Standard, because he kind of is the standard right now for guys in the secondary.
Yeah.
14.5 sacks by Montez Sweat since the start of 2023 season, 4th most among NFC players, which is cool. Real big thing for me that I just wanted to bring up was 7 consecutive home games have been won. The Bears have won the longest active streak in the NFL, and we also have the longest streak of holding teams under 21 points. Those are a couple of things. I recommend, if you get time, even if it's you're not a Bears fan, go to your favorite team, and they should have a similar layout and have some stuff like that. It's cool to see those things because that might not mean much to people that aren't Bears fans, but it's bragging rights for us, right?
Yeah, that whole website's pretty cool. Like, they've got that day in the life section. They
do a really good job.
Yeah,
and of course, I'm a big fan of Larry Mayer, the beat writer for the Bears, and he does the latest news section. They obviously are talking to. If you go to after further review. It's basically just Eberflus' breakdown for the week. So they got some cool segments there. I recommend again going on and looking at those numbers because there's a
Yeah,
lot more
definitely.
listed there that I didn't list. Some good trivia questions and just cool stuff. So if you're around the water cooler and wanted to brag about the Bears, you got some stuff versus. I mean, at the very least, we've been around forever, so
Yeah.
some of the other teams don't have that. What do we got for the Rams? What did you see? What did you like? And what do you think we need to work on?
Let's see. So I thought it was a good game. Caleb didn't have a ton of yards, but I'm okay with that because we got the run game going. Roshan got in the mix, which is what I've been asking for this entire year because he's our up the middle guy. Him and Herbert. I don't know where Herbert's at. Like I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, and not even on the rushing list as far as the top 3 rushers for Chicago.
But running Roshan up the middle, using Swift to what he's good for, like, it's crazy that all these fans and stuff can see this, and then you put it into effect, and it's like, oh yeah, maybe maybe it will click.
Well, and I will for the listeners, Ryan said several times, it's like, how are we seeing this and Shane Waldron's not? So that's kind of the alarming part, but also self-awareness, right? When you think you're doing a great job and no one's telling you you're doing a great job, you don't think the stuff needs to change. But just by the numbers, 17 for 23, Caleb, 17 for 23, 157 yards, 1 touchdown, 106 QB rating. I will say that 157 yards felt way more sustainable than the 263 the week before.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was, right?
I'm happy with 150 yards. Like, and every now and then maybe a 200 and so game, but like 150 yards, if we're getting it done, we don't need to be having him and we don't even have him thrown 50 times in a game. That's crazy.
Yeah, no one needs to be.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Brady didn't even, right? And he was arguably one of the best.
Yeah.
As far as running, DeAndre Swift, 16 carries for 93 yards, carried the load, right? And got a bunch of yards, but the Roshan, only 7 carries for 26 yards, but just enough of offset, right?
Yeah.
And his longest was let's see, did it have his longest was only 8 yards, but those bang up the middle, right? It makes the defense play something different.
And get the offensive line in a groove to where you're actually moving. They still, don't get me wrong, they still didn't look absolutely great, but they looked better with like some aggressive running and getting them fired up. Offensive linemen love running. Like, they love running plays. They get to just fire out of their stances and shove the guys in front of them. Like, it gets them in a groove. You're not making them just sit there and try and, like, watch the defensive players move the entire time and try and get them, like, when they're just pinning their ears back. When you have Caleb sitting back there, a rookie, for 50 times in a game, like, there's no need for that.
Yeah. It's not sustainable, right? As far as Caleb and getting success and feeling comfortable.
Right.
And then also just clock chewing and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we gotta establish a lead and then, do the ground and pound stuff. So you gotta be good at run, even if your pass game is through the roof,
Right.
I mean, it's like you're gonna have to run the ball eventually, And again, for all of us Bears fans, like we want to run the ball first and throw secondary. But obviously Shane Waldron's it's a pass first offense, and then you run off of that.
Right.
But that should be successful as well if you do it right. As far as receiving, it seemed like everybody was catching balls. We had DeAndre Swift caught 7, Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze. Those were the top 5 receivers. DeAndre Swift caught 7, Cole Kmet got 3, DJ Keenan also caught 3, and then Rome only had 1 for 10 yards. But spreading the ball around, love that too. You know what I mean? You're not honed in on one guy. You're moving it around. And I feel like there's going to be better, even more catches from Keenan as he gets healthier and gets more and more into the offense. And then, of course, Rome, as he gets more familiar with the NFL.
Yeah.
So that's coming. I'm not even worried about that.
Yeah.
Caleb did have 1 fumble, but Matt Pryor landed on it. And then Kyler Gordon recovered a fumble that I think was a forced fumble.
Yeah, Sweat caused it.
Yeah, right. That's right. A strip sack fumble, right? So love that too. Just always on the ball, going to the ball. Matt Pryor, back up on our line, looked much better than Nate Davis to me.
Yeah.
As far as, I mean, again, there's going to be guys who get through the line. There isn't even on the best offensive lines,
Yeah.
But every damn play, I mean, let's at least get first and second down, moving the ball a little bit.
Right. And the penalties. The penalties are killer. It just,
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Always doing a 1st and 15, 1st and 20, 2nd and 20. You know what I mean? It's like, and then drives that are moving, and then you got a 3rd and 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's discipline on the line.
Yeah. So I feel like now that we've got kind of a little bit of a groove, now that's what we need to be working on is why are we jumping so much? Like, it's just crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason for it.
No.
Other than the unpreparedness and you're rushing to get in the play clock because it's running down. You know what I mean? Those are really the only circumstances. And I felt much better this week than I have the past 3 weeks of them in the play clock. They were chilling and had plenty of time versus rushing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's how I kind of get a feel for how the game's going. If you're always rushing, it's like, shit, we're always behind the clock. How is that? You have the same amount of time between each play,
Right.
I did like, of course, the defense. Like we mentioned, Jaquan Brisker went off, 12 total tackles, 8 solo, 2 tackles for loss. TJ Edwards, our linebacking crew, no one talks about them, but I think it is one of the better duos, even with undrafted free agent Jack Sanborn.
Yeah.
Back there,
Yeah, you got Sanborn, who's kind of getting back in his groove. And then Edmonds and Edwards are highly touted linebackers, but they don't really get much love.
No,
but they kind of just do their job.
Yeah. And again, it feels a lot better than previous years on no one is just gashing us, other than maybe a couple plays here and there. I think Kyron Williams had a long run here or there, but what did he have? 19 carries for 94 yards, and he had a 14-yarder. But
he's also a great back too. So like,
yeah, for sure. And you're going to get that, but a lot less of it consistently happening to us like it did last year or the year before.
Right.
That's what was making me angry. Is just when somebody just runs the ball and gets 4-5 yards every time. It's like, well, you're
always
going to get a touchdown
forward.
for sure, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then grinding the clock and. That was a couple, not this last game, but the week before. The Bengals had the ball 3 times in the second half.
Yeah.
It's like you don't really you don't got to worry about their offense if they're good or not, because they're not going to get the ball enough to do anything, right? Or even get in a rhythm. So I know it's longer than 16 games, but after 4 weeks, how do you feel? We're 2-2, undefeated at home, which I feel like you should be, right?
Yeah. That's great. I mean, that's a great accomplishment right there. I feel like we're right on track, to be honest. Like, I know there was a lot of Bears fans that were like, oh, Super Bowl this, Super Bowl that. Like, obviously, I joked about it a little bit because it's just like, oh, yeah, it's just fun. After going undefeated in the preseason, it's just a fun thing. But realistically, we are right on track. Like, we have a rookie quarterback. We have an O-line that is really not played with each other too much. So they're going to all have to learn cohesion because that's like the number one thing for them. And our defense is getting... I mean, the one thing I love about our defense, every week, it's a different guy that's going off.
Right.
It hasn't been one dominant guy. So then, like if it was Jalen Johnson every week, just don't throw Jalen Johnson side.
Yeah.
Like, and then you open up the whole other side of the field. It's been somebody new every week. Kyler Gordon's had his shine. Montez Sweat's had his shine. Dexter has had his shine, and then
and I think you're going to get more and more of the Javon Dexters and the Tyreek Stevensons, and kind of making more of a name for themselves as we move forward and kind of face maybe some more high tier wide receivers and stuff.
And Stevenson's fun to watch. He is your typical cornerback that just gets under people's skins.
It's funny because for years I've watched them and been like, okay, turnover coming here. I just say it because, we have a quick 3 and out or something. I'm like, here's a turnover.
Yeah.
This defense is actually doing it. You know what I mean? It's like when you say, I need a strip sack. It happens, which is cool because it is an elite defense. And I think, we moved up one spot in that power ranking I showed you, which doesn't mean anything in the NFL as far as power rankings go, but it's nice to see upward movement. And I think you're going to continue to see that, especially over the next few weeks. We got the Panthers, Jaguars, a bye week, and then that Washington matchup might be a good one, depending.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Um, but I think, rookie quarterback, good for our defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can try out a little more than you normally could on, an Aaron Rodgers or Matt Stafford.
Right.
I'm in the same boat. I think 2-2 is I actually think we're ahead of schedule. I know we all get super optimistic, but it's a rookie quarterback, and I feel like he's showing what we expected him to be, or what we want a first round draft pick to be, which I've always been nervous about USC first rounders.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, no offense to any of their quarterbacks, not that they weren't great at USC. It's just there's been some fall off in the NFL, minus maybe Carson Palmer.
Yeah. Sam Darnold's turning around for him.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think, again, it goes to show that coaching does matter. It matters a lot. And not that I'm super sold on the Bears coaching, but at least they're self-aware enough to try to improve, try to evolve.
You got to really put in, if you're going to take a guy, you got to really be able to mold around that guy. Like, he obviously is used to one particular style, and obviously he's good at what he's good at, and there's places where he's bad. You got to be able to mold around those things, and I think that's one thing that the Commanders are doing great with Jaden Daniels is they're molding to him. Like, they know what he likes to run. He runs it. He runs it really well. And then I think this week we kind of saw a little bit more of Caleb getting that opportunity too, of things he knows how to do well, take a shot here and there, run the slants, do the quick routes. And it was cool to see Williams and Moore. I know people dug into it way too deep, but DJ Moore and Caleb Williams kind of had that moment after they, hey, you gave up on this route because you thought I was going to go here. Next time, hit that, and they scored on almost the same kind of route.
Yeah. Well, also just maturity.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, it's let's have some accountability for what we're all doing here. Because I think they're all learning each other and growing, right? So that's how you do it, is communication, and everyone reads into too much. And again, we always talked about it last week about hot takes and all that. I mean, I'm more trying to stay optimistic about even the worst games,
Yeah.
Shane Waldron could call a better game, and Caleb could probably make better calls, and the offensive line could block better. But we're 2-2, so we're in great shape in our division. Obviously, the Vikings have gained a little space, but I think we're still in the hunt, and we still got to face them twice. You know what I mean?
Also, unfortunately for Caleb, he's kind of in a. I mean, for the Bears in general, like, we are now in one of the toughest divisions in NFL right now.
Right.
You got Jordan Love, you got Jared Goff, you've got apparently Sam Darnold is going off, but their team, like, no team is really bad this year. So in the NFC North, and it's going to be a tough one for the next few years, it seems.
Well, and we always, even when we suck, Vikings suck, Lions suck, we still go back and forth. You know what I mean? We almost beat the Lions twice last year, and they were a contender for Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So I think the NFC North definitely beats up on itself anyway, because we're all pretty successful. As far as we know how to play each other. Green Bay and Chicago, you got to play in some shitty weather late in the year for sure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Vikings and Lions not so much, but they have their home field advantages. So yeah, I think we got a good game coming up. I think the schedule has been favorable to us. As far as we've been able to handle, the defense has been able to handle some of these offensive, and getting our chance for our offense to get into it.
Yeah.
But let's go. Before we go any further, let's actually give a quick shout out to one of our sponsors here. If you're all about expressing yourself through what you wear, then you got to check out Dead Threads. They've got the most wicked collection of t-shirts that scream individuality. Want vintage vibes? With your favorite team, Dead Threads has a tee for every vibe and every occasion, whether you're chilling at home, hitting the streets, or even hosting your own podcast. Make sure you check out Dead Threads for all your gear. They have really cool shirts. I mean, we are actually fans of the shirts. Ryan's wearing one right now. Yeah, so not only do they sponsor us, but we are customers. So make sure you check out Dead Threads and tell them we sent you. So we got a game coming up with the Panthers, which again I think helps us gain a little more momentum. And it is at home, I believe, right? Yep. We're at home at noon. It'll be on Fox. I think we both hoped to see more run game and more sustainability, and we got that. I think we probably want to see just more of what we already got, right?
Yeah. I think utilizing Roshan and everything. I just want to take a second though. What a time right now! Like this is the best time of the year. Like for me at least, we got baseball, we have football, we have hockey, basketball starts around the corner, like preseason.
Yeah.
So what a great time of the year! It's
and
freaking
isn't it
sports
the
every day.
WNBA's
Yeah, and their
in the
playoffs right now.
right?
Yeah.
Semifinals. Yeah. I think it is a really fun time of sports, and you got college football, and and then everyone's kind of you've seen all these recruits showing up for basketball at the football games,
Yeah.
So that's getting everyone excited. And
there's a sports on every night. Like
and honestly, baseball that's being
yeah.
played is the best baseball.
Yeah.
Play of baseball is just different. You know what I mean? Because it's just there is the dog days of summertime baseball, but come September and then in October, it really gets a lot more fun and exciting. We're Cubs fans, so we don't have a dog in the fight, so it even makes it more fun because we can kind of pick and choose.
Yeah, I was watching the Padres win last night.
That's my secondary team because I lived in San Diego for 10 years, and I loved watching them. You could go watch them for like $7 because
they're actually playing well.
Yeah, and they've established themselves as a contender with not a lot of payroll comparatively with like the Dodgers and some of the teams they'll face. So room for those Padres.
I just wanted to give a shout out to that because it's freaking awesome. I've been dabbling. I'm a giant hockey fan, so I've been watching.
Yeah, that's cool. What has happened in the hockey world? Is that that season just starting, right?
It's preseason still, yeah.
Okay.
Blackhawks have not won a game yet, so that sucks. But
they got some new pieces, right?
Yeah. They still have.
They'll put some stuff together.
Bedard, who was their number 1 overall last year, and then I think they've picked up a left winger for the draft this year for like 2nd overall or something. So I mean they're young, they're getting it all together. So we'll see what happens.
Which I like that. I like the young feeling. It's very much like the Bears. It's, there's room for growth there and time for it. Before we get into the Panthers game, what do you got on the sponsor front? Any new sponsors heading our way, or you got anybody we should shout out?
Yes, so a new sponsor, we reached out to a product we like called the Happy Can.
Nice.
Yeah, and they will be supplying us with a code for viewers and listeners that can tune in, and they'll be able to get, let me look up the details, we might be a certain percentage. They're working with their marketing team. We have a direct contact now, so he is working with their marketing team to give us a little bit more details, so we should be hearing back soon. They're sending us out some stuff, and you'll be seeing some more of it on the show, and hopefully be able to get you guys some cool discounts as well.
Awesome. Yeah, look forward to that. We're big fans. Again, we try to align ourselves with products that we actually enjoy.
Yeah.
Like Dead Threads and Fanatics and, all the codes you get. So keep listening and keep buying those products from our sponsors.
Yeah.
So this game coming up is the Panthers. I almost feel guilty because we're semi-responsible for the position they're in. They're really responsible for their own position, but I'm not afraid of Andy Dalton. He did look great for one game, kind of.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then
but it's also like you didn't really announce he was a starter, so you're game planning for Bryce Young, and then a total different dude shows up,
yeah.
right? The second week they're game planning for Andy Dalton, and things didn't look as good. They are 1-3. I'm just pulling up the matchup here on NFL.com. We are 4-point favorites. So as far as the ranking goes, we have the 30th ranked offense. They have the 23rd. So, but I don't think that's fair based on kind of the first game out the gate. We only had 93 passing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's some numbers skewed there as far as where we're ranked. Defense, we're the 10th ranked defense. They're the 28th. That helps Caleb and get that offense back up. But I said that against the Colts, and we saw how that ended up. But I feel like that was more game plan than.
Yeah. I think you line those
Caleb.
two teams back up again with a better game plan, and we win.
Yeah. Right.
We beat them last year by 3.
Yep.
Not that obviously that matters much, but yeah, I think we're gonna see a little bit more of the same. Getting that run game going, relying on Swift a little bit more on the outsides, and just letting him kind of go off in the ways that he should be going off. I think we need to get Roshan in there a little bit more, just out of. I think
agree.
he's a great piece, especially if he's falling forward for 3-4 yards every time. Gets little chunks.
Especially if the game is allowing that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like we're ahead by a score.
Yeah.
Pound that thing.
Yeah.
Exhaust those guys. That defense. It doesn't. I don't. As far as receiving, they have. I know they have Deontay Johnson, or whatever it is. But who else do they have?
Was it Xavier?
Xavier Leggett. Yeah. Okay.
But
there's not a lot of.
Thielen,
I'm not
because Thielen's hurt.
I'm not too worried about that, right?
No.
I mean, you can definitely double one guy and not worry.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would say so.
Andy Dalton's a check down king, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and then,
that's really what you got to worry about is the Hubbard dude and Miles Sanders kind of getting checked down a million times.
I have the awful situation of having Hubbard on my fantasy team.
Yeah, I get
for
that.
him against the team.
You want him to have a good day. I get it. Yeah, I had that happen last week. It's like, I had somebody on the Matt Stafford. I'm like, I really want him to go off, but I don't.
Yeah.
Let's go for 1,000 yards with no touchdowns. Is that possible? But he didn't really do either. So Matt Stafford.
Yeah, we did a really good job of containing him pretty well. Obviously, he doesn't have the weapons he's used to, but
no, but I mean. He was in Detroit for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? Like he's used to not having weapons.
He's always been a good quarterback, like that kind of. Obviously, he's not Tom Brady, but he's always been that kind of level of of the Tom Brady's and stuff like that, to where you can make good wide receivers by your play.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, the difference in that game to me was special teams and then defense.
Yeah.
Because offense really wasn't, blowing anybody out of the water.
Right.
But like I mentioned at the beginning of the year, if we're holding people for 21 points or less, 24 points, 3 touchdowns and a field goal ain't too hard, right? Especially if you're getting the ball 12 times, you only have to score on 4 of them.
Yeah.
And
what are we averaging for teams scoring against us?
I don't know what the average is this season, but I know I just saw in that little blurb that we had the most games under 21 points, or what's it? Let's see.
Yeah, it's got to do quick math here.
Yeah.
18.75 points per game is what we're averaging.
And I mean, geez, so you got to get 20 points.
Yeah. Well, that's what the defense is allowing.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying. So you only got to
yeah,
get
yeah,
20, you don't even got to get 24 points really.
right. So I mean, I feel like that's pretty good. Obviously,
10. 10 consecutive games the Bears have held their opponents to 21 or fewer. 10.
Jeez.
So, that's a third of last year and then all of this year.
By law of averages, we are outscoring our opponents. Our average is 19.25 points per game. So
That's awesome. 10 consecutive games the Bears have held their opponents to 21 points or fewer, the longest active streak in the NFL. It's the longest streak for the Bears since they held 12 straight opponents to 21 points or fewer in 05. The year before we went to the Big Show.
yeah.
Well, actually, we went to the Big Show in 06. What are they talking about? Yeah, they talk about the 05 season, even though the Super Bowl was in 06. It would have been the 05 season, right?
Yeah, so that would have been the Super Bowl season, right?
No, I don't know. I don't know
Because
how.
it was the Super Bowl in 06, but it was the 2005 season.
Right.
Just like this is the 24 season.
All right,
Super Bowl
but
in 25.
it'll be a 25. Yeah, we've already had the 24 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for not confusing us. So what are your expectations? A lot of the same. Maybe even run the ball more.
Yeah. I would hope to see some, maybe some, a little bit more back to Dunze. I mean, his connection with Williams has been really nice to see. But I love that Williams is spreading it all around. So, I mean, obviously spreading around that much, guys are going to have lower amounts of receiving than others every week. So, but I think keep it on the ground a little bit, get Caleb in a groove early and with those short passes, and then maybe launch one up every now and then. But I'd like to see just a lot more of what we saw last week.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you look at like there's a really cool diagram, the breakdown of where his passes completed and incomplete passes went. He's spread out pretty evenly. There's a couple as you get further than kind of 15 to 20 yards out that he I don't know what the circumstances are, if they were on or not, because it's just showing like where the ball was, but a little bit further, and I feel like and then he completed one that was a touchdown. So there's growth there, and it's going to keep improving as well. Those longer balls, I think he's got the pretty much 10 yards, within 10 yards, pretty down. I mean, there wasn't really any incomplete passes there.
Yeah, and the connection's only going to get stronger. I mean, they got to work. I mean, timing's going to come through and everything like that. So, what is your point prediction?
I'm going to stay in the same realm, but I said we'd score more. I'm going to go 28 for us, 17.
You think the offense starts to light it up this year, or like this game, or starts connecting a little bit more?
Second week in a row at home, coming off a good win, they were hyped up, and now there's confidence. Hey, if you miss that pass on third down and Torrey has to come in and punt it, what do you care? You're probably going to get better field position because they're going to have to punt from their end zone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you're definitely going to see some safeties. I don't know, maybe not in this game, but it's coming because of Torrey Taylor and the way the defense is playing. I think we move the ball better. I just don't see Carolina's defense slowing us down.
Right.
I don't see what's his name?
Andy Dalton?
The coach of the Panthers,
who is there?
Whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I just don't trust him as much as I trust Sean McVay, and we just beat Sean McVay. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. That's my thoughts there. You're not getting Andy Dalton from 10 years ago, right? So.
Yeah. I think it's going to be probably 24-10 is what I'll get. Nice. Couple field goals maybe in there, but 24-10.
Yeah. That'll be. Obviously, we're both picking wins this week.
They lit up a lot of touchdowns. Holy crap!
Huh?
I was just looking at their schedule so far, and they've let Saints score 47, Chargers score 26, Raiders score 22, Bengals scored 34 on them. I think you might be more
Well,
on
and the thing
track.
is, that's the other thing. It's like your defense can be great, right? Like we
Yeah,
have, but if they're out there the whole game, they're gonna start. I mean, a perfect example was I'm an Alabama fan this week. We beat up on Georgia the first half of that game, and just got gassed
yeah,
in the second, and they were just moving the ball like they could, do whatever they want. Um,
for
and
sure.
and and again, that was kind of the difference in the game. That why they got back into it was because you know, uh, I felt like they were out there a lot in that second half, just
Yeah,
drive after drive after drive, and it started wearing on you. But that was one of the most epic college games
yeah, that was
we've
a
had
great
in a
game.
long time.
I was excited to watch it.
Yeah, yeah, great matchup, and of course I'm excited because Alabama came away with the win. But I'm always like, when we win like that against Georgia, I'm like, is Georgia who we thought they were? Because who are they beat? You know what I mean?
Yeah, Carson.
And they did not. They look shell shocked.
Yeah,
First half, like they were not a number one ranked team or a number two ranked team. You know what I mean?
yeah. Carson Beck can sling the rock though if he
For
actually
sure.
gets in a groove.
Yeah,
He's pretty good. Milrow is
yeah,
obviously good too. He gets to rely on Ryan Williams so a lot.
for sure. And I mean, Alabama. If you look at the line, I mean, there's a lot of benefits of being a quarterback at Alabama.
Yeah,
But he's making beautiful tosses. Carson Beck. I mean, you got to give him all the props. He fought his way back into that. I mean, that was
yeah,
ridiculous. I mean, most guys are trying to do too much at that point, and the gap's getting bigger. Then you get the 75-6 wins and stuff. But he fought back in there and just marched him down. Kept doing run plays and doing all that stuff that most guys get away from because you start panicking.
yeah,
Kirby Smart's a good coach, though.
yeah,
I think he didn't have those guys prepared for Alabama though out the gate, and that they would have won if they would have played like they played the second half the whole game.
yeah.
Um, that being said, what do we got for this week's player stat trivia?
All right. Got 3 here again for you. First one, who's that bear? Played at Tulane University. In college, they had 4,265 rushing yards, 39 touchdowns, 103 receiving yards, 985 or 103 receptions, 985 receiving yards, and 5 receiving touchdowns. They were 44th overall in the 2008 draft. 2 NFL teams. Has 3 Chicago Bear records and is tied for 2 more. And joined the NBC Sports Chicago Football After Show as an analyst.
Is it Matt Forte?
Yep.
I just don't. I guess him because Tulane. I just
Yeah.
honestly 4,000 yards,
Yeah.
and Tulane's like I mean they're a Texas school, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe Louisiana, but
Louisiana.
they're a Southern school.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
they
yeah.
play some pretty stiff competition.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Yeah, he was one of my favorites, man.
But also almost 1,000 receiving yards too. And
That was
yeah.
honestly, he was our leading receiver for multiple years, I believe.
That was
right?
actually he held the receiving record. The
that's one of the records he's tied for.
Yeah, it was like 3 like it was a couple of records that a running back should not be holding for
right,
to be honest.
for sure. Yeah, I love Matt Forte though. Big fan. Just downhill runner. Had great hands. Could catch anything.
Yeah.
And put a shoulder into a guy. He just kind of an old school bang bang type running back. Yeah, I love Matt Forte, man. That was a good one.
So the records he has. Sorry, I just pulled them up.
Yeah.
Most rushing attempts his rookie season was 316. Most receptions rookie season he had 63. Most yards from scrimmage in rookie season 1,715. Most receptions postseason game he is tied with Allen Robinson with 10 in the NFC Championship against the Green Bay Packers. And then games with at least 3 touchdowns in a season, and he has 2, and he's tied with Gale Sayers, Walter Payton, and Neil Anderson.
Jeez, just Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Currently not a Hall of Famer, correct?
Nah, yeah, but he was
I mean,
always under the radar.
running back's got to be really hard to get in, I would
Yeah,
imagine, right? I mean, because it's pretty stacked,
yeah,
and you got to be like the man for a long time.
yeah. And he played
Um,
against a lot of running backs that were good in that era too.
yeah, yeah, but one of my, I honestly, if like we need to do a Mount Rushmore of just running backs
Yeah,
of Bears
that
running
is
backs.
gonna be when I finally get the wheel together. Mount Rushmore of positions. It would be one of the
Yeah,
ones on there because I think that'll
perfect,
be fun for us.
definitely. Because he's on mine for sure. Just
Yeah,
my personal. I don't even know the stats, but I just think of like running backs that I loved. Obviously Walter Payton because I was a really tiny kid watching him. And Matt Forte is kind of the next one that comes to mind. You know.
yeah.
Um,
All
yeah,
right.
I hope he's doing good wherever he is.
Yeah, he's kind of a
The whole
exciting player,
Jay
but he's kind of
Chicago's.
boring to be
Yeah,
honest.
probably. Yeah, I would imagine he's like a
he
just a straight shooter type dude.
what I thought he weekly team Bible studies and chapels, just a very down home Christian dude that just doesn't.
Damn it, Matthew.
He's just really boring. There's nothing fun.
Call me Matthew Forte. Matthew Forte 22. um, yeah. I take him off my list then. No. You need to be out there doing drugs, man.
Yeah.
You got all that money now? What are you doing?
100% last week's was so much more fun to research than
Yeah.
this week's.
Interesting thing. So runs Bible study.
Yeah. Let's see. Who's that bear number 2? Played at Alabama. 97 tackles, 33 assisted tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 9 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, and 3 touchdowns. He was 12th overall in the 2017 draft. 2 NFL teams, and is a 2-time Pro Bowler and one-time first-team All-Pro. Really? I thought you'd get this one immediately.
Eddie Jackson?
Yeah. I was just like, what?
I was thinking, I'm like, that seems like it's too obvious, but I kind of know the numbers from Alabama.
Yeah. Did you?
Man, got paid though and just quit tackling people.
Yeah. Did you enjoy him at Alabama?
Yeah, but that era at Alabama that he was there was so much other stuff.
Yeah, I could have put.
So the defense wasn't like necessarily like the spectacle. You know what I mean?
What would have given it away even more is he had I think he was defensive player in the one of the championships he was a part of for Alabama and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so I was like, that'll give it away immediately.
For sure. But I will say I'm pretty like you with Iowa. You just know the guys. You know what I mean? Like the guys that have been. I mean, I know most of them that are around the league still. You know that.
Yeah.
Just because I do like to follow them, and when the Bears aren't good, you gotta root for people, right? So
yeah.
So
Trust me, I do it all the time with the Hawkeyes.
He started making business decisions. I felt like after he got the contract and.
Can you imagine though if we had good Eddie Jackson, Jalen Johnson, Stevenson?
If he was just in that secondary now?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if we could afford him and Byard, because depending on what it is, one dude's a hard hitter and one dude's a good coverage guy. You know what I mean? But Byard, I think, is not as good of a coverage guy, but is okay at coverage and a way better tackler.
Yeah,
so.
And a great veteran to have on the team.
Yeah, and he's just does his job. You know, you really haven't seen much of him talking about his role or anything. You know.
Yeah. Let's see. Who's that Bears player? Number 3. Played at Wisconsin. He had 130 tackles, 100 assisted tackles, 29 tackles for loss, 11 and a half sacks, 4 interceptions, and 3 forced fumbles when he was at Wisconsin. His dad was an O-lineman at Oregon, and his brother plays at Wisconsin. He only ever was a Bear, and he had 2 sacks in his first career start. And he's an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, that's Jack Sanborn.
Yeah.
I love him, man. That's the story of a Bear player right there.
Yeah.
To me. Undrafted free agent from a cold school, just a hard hitter.
Yep.
And we were like, what the hell is this kid getting playing time for? And just came out and killed people.
You
And
know
still is.
what
I mean, you watch him.
he reminds me of, who actually, like, for a second was one of my favorite Bears. Shea McClellan, but one that actually turned out.
Yeah, totally. He's what I felt like Shea McCollum should have been, an undrafted free agent that had a chip on his shoulder, you know?
Yeah. Instead, he's known best for tripping Aaron Rodgers, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had some longevity in the league, right?
I think he bounced around with, like, Patriots for a little bit, right?
Yeah, he was with Patriots. Yeah, I mean, he had some spots, but I think he never lived up to what he.
Yeah, he was supposed to be like a fairly highly touted linebacker, right? Or edge rusher / linebacker, right?
Yeah, he was like a
Notre Dame guy, right?
Yeah, I believe so. He was highly touted coming out. And I remember we thought he was going to be like our answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the next Urlacher kind of dude. Yeah, I do love Jack Sanborn there. Shea McClellan, he's only 35 years old, so he's not that old. He can still be playing.
Oh, Boise State.
Boise State.
Huh.
Yeah, he was drafted.
For some reason, I thought he was a Notre Dame guy. I don't know why.
I could have swore he was too. That sounded pretty accurate.
I wonder who I'm thinking of then.
He kind of looks the part of a Chicago linebacker too, really.
His Wikipedia page has a picture of him tackling Tyrod Taylor in college. At Virginia Tech.
Drafted round 1, pick 19.
Yeah, so
2012. So first round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only
But yeah,
Bears and
you're
Patriots.
right. Exactly. That's who I wished. Yeah, Jack Sanborn's like a better version of Shane McClellan.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's some plays like you just don't. He doesn't get any credit for where he's snaking through the line, just getting a running back like maybe at the line of scrimmage, but it's like such a good play. You know what I mean? It's like
or closes that edge, or like he just does.
And if like he's not there, then the guy gets 12 yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he just does his job, and like kind of you don't really hear much about him. But that's our whole linebacker core right now, right?
Yeah.
Like
right.
All of them are doing like decent job at doing their job. They're not doing like, I mean, crazy things that some linebackers do, but
right. Yeah.
I can't really think of like a standout linebacker this year, to be honest.
I mean, you got like the dudes that are on 49ers, that guy Wagner or whatever.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's some like but yeah, there's not very. It's more of you got coverage guys on the back end.
Honestly, it's more your like Kyler Gordon's right now. Like that's I feel like your hyped up
or
linebacker
or your
type
TJ
player.
Watts.
Yeah.
Like it's like it's like the
or
guys
Mac,
that are on the line
that were a linebacker at one point and they got put on that edge rusher.
You're basically a defensive end.
Yeah.
But a linebacker, you know.
In like a 3-4 type of defense or something now. Yeah.
Right. So before we go into this week's pick'ems, let's give a shout out to one of our other sponsors, and then when we come back, we'll talk about our week's pick'em games because it's been all over the place, and that'll wrap our episode because we got a big weekend. My daughter turns 1, so
yeah,
it's my first party.
It'd be fun.
But yeah, when we come back, we'll talk about all that.
Hey guys, just want to take a break from the podcast to tell you about Fanatics. At Fanatics, you can find everything you need to support your team, from jerseys and hats to hoodies and accessories. They've got it all. It's officially licensed, so you know you're getting the real deal. And here's the best part. We've teamed up with Fanatics to bring you an exclusive offer. When you use the code 24SHIP at checkout, you'll get free shipping on orders over $24. Plus, by using our special link in the show notes on our website, you'll be able to directly support our podcast. So head over to fanatics.com, load up the best Bears gear, and use code 24SHIP for free shipping on orders over $24. It's a win-win. Get to show off your Bears pride and help keep Barely Maintaining going strong. Thank you for your support, and as always, bear down. Now let's get back to
Make sure you're heading over there and using those codes. Again, we appreciate everyone that checks out those sponsors. So, pick'em games this week. Ryan was on a great run, kind of fell off a little bit, but still maintaining a lead because who can pick these things, man?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, really.
so last week we picked the what was it? The Bucks at Falcons, Cardinals at 49ers. Or no, I'm sorry, that's this week. We picked the Vikings game, Falcons game, 49ers game, and Commanders game. And apparently, Michael, you can pick them because you went 4-0 last week.
Because I just went like, I'm not taking any thoughts about it. I'm just, first thing that comes to my mind. Again, it's like if you just, even if you think about it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well,
who knows what's going to happen?
You've closed the gap a little bit. You're 8-8 now. I'm 10-6. I went 2-2 last week. Cardinals Commanders game did not turn out like I was going to.
My problem is you're never all the way wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm never all. I mean, I got all the way right once, but so you keep staying ahead.
But this week, picks brought to you by Steven at work. He picked these games
nice,
at random.
Thank you, Steven. We appreciate that.
First game, we got Bucks at Falcons. This looks like should be a fun game. Falcons kind of figured it out so far. And Bucks kind of got right back on the page that they had that little hiccup, but then they got right back to it and are gunslinging everywhere. Baker Mayfield kind of looks like him right now. So
I'm going to go Falcons only because they're at home. This is a toss-up, really, for me. And did the Bucks just lose? Or did they won last week?
They won last week. They lost
the
week
before.
3. Yeah.
Because I feel like you need to face a little bit of adversity.
Yeah.
That helps your game, you know what I mean? To know where you need to work on. And I think that's why I felt like I've been saying, again, emotionally biased, but that the Vikings are heading for a cliff. Because you need some adversity. So, yeah, I'm picking Atlanta at home, but I think it's only because Kirk Cousins is going to leave him on a game-winning drive the last minute of the game. You
like
know
he
what I mean?
does. Why wouldn't he? It always seems like every game he's a part of is up to if he will finish the drive out on a last-second drive.
Yeah, right. And it always comes down to that. It's like, that's why there might be an NFL script. It's like, okay, cue Cousins. We got 3 minutes left. It's like, what the heck? Every time?
There's going to be 3 minutes left in the game, and the Bucks are going to be driving. Cue interception. Kirk Cousins has to come on the field to lead this back.
Yeah, exactly.
Bucky,
you're going to fumble.
I'm going to take the Buccaneers. I like that Baker Mayfield's been kind of all over it. Like he had that little hiccup, like I said 2 weeks ago, but he's playing out of his mind. He showing Cleveland that they should have kept him maybe and actually give him a good coach. That was worth the
For sure.
crap.
Like I say, coaching matters.
Yeah.
And they know how to coach up Baker, even when it's bad. It's not bad, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, I could easily go either way.
Yeah, it is a toss-up for
Atlanta
sure.
because Atlanta's at home, but this might be a blowout.
Yeah.
For Buccaneers, you know, or for Atlanta. Really, I don't know, but I think it's going to be close, and I think it's going to be. I don't know if it'll be high scoring, but I think it's going to come down to whoever has the ball last. Really.
Yeah, I think so too.
As is the case in games like that.
Yeah. Game number 2, we got Cardinals at 49ers. This is kind of another one where it looks like Debo's going to be back. I think I saw Kittle might be healthy again. And then you're still waiting for McCaffrey because, honestly, more and more I'm seeing he might be out for the year, which is awful.
Yeah. I'm not holding my hopes out for McCaffrey return anytime soon, to be honest with you, just based on the fact that he's flying all over the world to have people look at that, whatever it is.
And from what I heard today, it sounds like he's got some tearing in the other knee now.
Yeah, and I just think that a year off might do him good because football's hard on the most healthiest of dudes. You're gonna come
Yeah.
in like questionable,
Yeah.
you know, and the way he plays, the way he runs, there needs to be no question, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go 49ers just because I keep believing in them. I don't know why, but I just do.
Yeah.
I saw a really
You
cool.
sound so angry about that.
I don't know. I know because they just keep losing the Vikings, dude. I'm like, that should be no problemo,
Yeah.
bro. Sam
Big
Darnold take an
problemo.
MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But they do have a Bosa.
Yeah.
They do have Trent Williams still on the team, and I saw this really cool video where it had this silhouette of a player, and he was just throwing these dimes all over, and everyone was kind of just blurbed out, but you can only see the players moving, and it said, "Who is this player?" And everyone's like, "That's definitely Aaron Rodgers, Brock Purdy." So, yeah, so, and all these 49ers fans like, "Yes, I gotcha." You thought it was Aaron Rodgers, Brock Purdy.
He is so good though.
Watching him like that, it's like, oh wow, okay, you know.
Yeah.
His foot movement is second to none. His moving up into the pocket is like Tom Brady-esque. You know what I mean? So
yeah, 100%.
But again, if you don't have anybody to throw to and no running game, that doesn't really matter. But I'm going to take them this week. I'm not trusting the Cardinals, even though they have played. They're out of their minds, really.
Yeah.
But you had a Kyler Murray like Hall of Fame game, and then you had a Kyler Murray like double XP Warzone game. You know.
You know, they did drop like that update not too long ago for Halloween and stuff. Maybe that's
exactly. They literally couldn't score a touchdown. So I don't trust them.
I'm actually gonna go Cardinals. I think they bounce back. This something about like I need to see more out of the 49ers. Like I think for the same reasons,
like I said,
you keep believing it. Yeah, the same reasons you keep believing in them is like I just can't yet. Like I just don't know.
Yeah.
And all their players seem to be kind of getting hurt, and it's just kind of weird. So
decimated, and it's like cool. Debo's going back, but how much of Debo? You know, are you getting the Debo that does everything, or is it just he a decoy?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And is Brandon? Are you gonna be pissed off, or?
Yeah. Is he actually gonna catch stuff and run, or is he angry, pissed off, and just sitting on the sideline? Yeah. So, again, that's a tough one. There is not really an easy game though. If we look through the schedule.
Yeah.
There's not really one where I'm like, yeah, they're definitely winning.
For the pick'em, the only game I was confident in was the Commanders. For our work, I don't know if we've talked about it, but at work we have I hosted a pick'em, where everybody's picking a team a week and kind of seeing at the end of the year who's got the best. I think the only one that I was like somewhat confident in and even somewhat confident is still like marginal. Was the Commanders, and that was because they've been playing really well, and I think they're playing somebody pretty low on the totem pole. I can't remember who it was, but
I'm just like so shell shocked from the season, like PTSD, that I'm like don't trust anybody now.
Yeah,
like, they could easily lose that game.
Yeah, I just don't get it. Yeah,
and it's really because Las Vegas lost the Panthers at home.
Yeah. Who also looked like they were somewhat good week 1 and 2. I know they lost. I think week 1 is what they lost, and then they won week 2. But and then the Steelers lost last week in a game they shouldn't have lost. So I just don't know anymore.
Vegas beat the Ravens at home.
Yeah,
that's why they're like, oh, these guys are not bad. And then lost to Carolina, and they're like, oh, these guys are bad.
Yeah, but
Garbage
also
is not him.
The Ravens are good, but bad.
They're the best bad team.
Yeah. Game number 3, Cowboys at Steelers. For this one, I'm taking Steelers. That Steelers defense outranks the poor offensive play from the Cowboys to me, and the poor defensive play from the Cowboys as well. I think they do a good job here. They've been doing a good job managing Fields, which is great for him. Like, I'm excited for him. Obviously, I'm glad he's not a Bear anymore, just because I don't think he was the right fit for us. And not in any means of that I don't like him. I just don't think he was the right fit for us. But I think they've doing a good job with him. So I'm going to take the Steelers. Yeah,
I agree. I'm taking the Steelers too. Justin Fields is still going to Justin Fields you. He's still going to take a 20-yard sack and fumble the ball, maybe. You know what I mean? But he's doing a lot less of that, and that's the only reason they lost last week because he did one of those.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, but I just don't trust the Cowboys at all. I
No.
don't trust Jerry Jones. I don't trust
Kind of
Mike
like
McCarthy.
Kind of like the 49ers, and like they have all the pieces.
Totally.
But they have healthy pieces too. So it's not even necessarily like the 49ers. They have healthy
Shanahan
pieces.
will get innovative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little more innovative offensively than Mike McCarthy will.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy just looks like, honestly, he couldn't do it with Aaron Rodgers. How is he going to do it with Dak Prescott? To me.
Right. Yeah.
And then like the ghost of Zeke Elliott. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't see it in Dowdle or whatever Dodal. Dowdle.
I don't remember what his name
The
is.
other guy. So yeah, taking Steelers as well. I'm in total agreement. I just the Cowboys have just shown too much vulnerability. Everyone can talk about all day long about how they're a contender and they got all this talent. It doesn't matter. You can have all the talent in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta beat the teams you're supposed to beat at least, especially at home.
Right.
And they're not. I mean,
No. Not at all.
And they've looked bad actually in some of those cases. So.
Yeah. Last game here: Saints at Chiefs.
I'm going Saints.
Oh.
I mean, the Chiefs just keep luckily winning, but I feel like this is a trap game.
Yeah. I'm on the same page. Saints have actually played pretty well. I'm picking the Saints
They've
here
shown
as
they
well.
can play well. They've played shitty as well, but they showed they can be amazing actually.
You got freaking Pat Mahomes taking out his own wide receivers' knees.
Honestly, I don't think everyone's been talking about it, but I don't think anybody realizes how important Rasheed Rice is.
Because Worthy hasn't been doing much.
Well, and he's a straight line guy. Really, he's not as good of a route runner. Like, look at how many passes Rasheed Rice has per game.
You're gonna see a lot of Kelsey this week, I think.
Tons of Kelsey, and
there's a lot of rumors that
Mahomes is showing some vulnerability.
Yeah.
The reason that Rice got hurt injured because Pat Mahomes threw an interception.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
and lobbed it too right? Didn't he lob it over?
Yeah, it didn't look like. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't look like the whole play was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But that's the whole season. It's like, what is happening?
There's a lot of rumors that the Chiefs will be trading for a wide receiver, and one of the wide receivers that's on the speculation is Tyreek Hill again.
Yeah, and I've seen Keenan Allen on there.
Yeah. Well, if you could get an offensive lineman or draft picks, would you trade Allen?
As personal feelings, no. As a business decision, yes. Offensive lineman for sure.
Yeah.
I don't care about the draft capital, really, as much as I would care about an offensive lineman because you just don't find them. You just can't find them in the draft. Really, you got to develop them. A guy that's good out the gate anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to see him go though. I want to. We haven't even gotten to do anything yet.
Right.
Yeah, and also Devontae Adams requested a trade, so he's kind of on that, but they ain't gonna trade, I doubt, in division to a team that's undefeated.
Right.
And a lot of speculation that Devontae will go to the Jets.
Yeah, that would be a crazy move too, wouldn't it, if they went after him?
Right.
Either the Chiefs or the Jets. I mean, do you imagine the Chiefs or the Jets end up with Devontae Adams and they have Lazard and they pretty much have the Packers offense?
Yeah, they got the 2020 Packers basically.
Yeah.
Bakhtiari, what are you up to, bud?
He's a free agent.
You want to come to New York? Get you a condo?
I feel like I heard somewhere that Aaron was trying to get him there at one point, earlier.
They scored 9 points against the Broncos at home.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
9.
Broncos don't have an awful defense, though.
No,
not that good.
Still.
Not that good, but
Aaron Rodgers, no touchdowns. I mean,
and they got good old Riley Moss out there.
Yeah,
and he's locked down Alan Lazard before.
5
I'm pretty sure.
offside penalties for that offensive line.
Yeah,
and they were saying, well, can you guys work on the cadence or whatever? And Aaron Rodgers is like, or we could just hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Okay, quick. We did 3 games with 1 offsides penalty. So anything else
That's pretty
on
much
this
it. I was
week's
just
pick'ems?
looking up.
I mean, these
let's
pick'em
see.
games are insane. So
I was
there is.
looking up to see if Alan Lazard and Riley Moss ever played each other, but it doesn't look like they did.
Hmm.
Riley Moss's first year was 2018. I think Lazard's last year was 2017. So.
Oh, gotcha.
But he's locked him down before. That's what I was gonna make the joke about.
Yeah.
Because he's starting. Riley's starting. So.
Is it?
Yeah, he's their cornerback. I think
Nice.
cornerback too. I think they've got Cortland Sutton on the other side. So.
Oh, gotcha. Nice. I'm the same way. I like seeing them be successful.
Yeah. Jackie
Minus Henry
Robinson.
Ruggs. The things he was successful at, I didn't want him to be.
Yeah.
As usual, special thanks to Julie Bright, Lindsay O'Brien for giving us the time to do this podcast. I know it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of stuff going on in our lives outside of football and sports. So thank you for letting us do this. Thanks to Stephen Teeter to picking this week's Pick'em games. Really, you can pick any four, though, and they're going to be hard to pick.
Yeah.
Because who's literally separating themselves?
Yeah, it
Nobody.
doesn't seem
I
like
mean-
anybody is.
Chiefs look like they could be 0-4, really.
Yeah.
Uh,
As of today, probably the Vikings, but
right. Yeah. Vikings do look pretty solid, but I'm not worried about them.
no.
If you can take Justin Jefferson away from the passing game, then it's a whole different team,
Yeah.
But that defense is something to be worried about, especially for a rookie quarterback, because they move around a lot and they disguise stuff. So,
Yeah.
I'm rooting for Aaron Rodgers this week, though. To be honest with you, in London.
I will never.
Yeah, I mean, I want him to see him beat him, but still get injured. No.
Can you both lose and beat them?
Can you guys tie after losing most of your top tier players?
They could win by
Crazy.
only using Brees Hall.
Honestly, I've heard that's a complaint that's going on. Is he's not getting the ball enough because they said that Robert Saleh doesn't know the difference between Brees Hall and Braylon Allen or whatever the other guy. You can't tell the difference. Next week's episode, we'll talk about the game with the Panthers. Hopefully, we'll have a lot to talk about as far as that goes. I mean, there's always a ton to talk about, even if it's not the Bears, because this league has been crazy. Fantasy football, college football, WNBA, baseball.
I need everybody
stuff
on
going
my
on.
side. Ohio
Yeah.
State, Iowa. This
Oh
week.
yeah, we're going IOWA.
Yeah. I don't need to hear all the crap this week. I just need.
If you're rooting for a 4-letter state, make it be Iowa.
Yeah.
What has Ohio State done anyway? They're just like rank them at the top because they were decent 4 years ago. No, we'll see. I think they're vulnerable. I think Iowa could easily not easily beat the team, but I think they could get a win. I don't
Yeah.
think it's out of the realm of possibility.
Give Caleb Johnson the rock and let it go.
You guys just got to do what you do best, which is muck it up.
Yeah.
Just play dirty game,
Yeah.
running, just fumbles and turnovers, and it's gonna be a battle there in Columbus, though. So, let's go Hawkeyes for sure. With that being said, we'll see you guys next week for episode 13.
Good night, Richard.
Good night, Richard.